Hi, everybody. I'm Mia. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm super excited to have Ali here with me, and she's an intuitive, a quantum healer, astrologer, a mentor, and host of the Soul Archaeology podcast. And welcome. I would love if you just want to share a little bit about yourself, since this is the first time that we're talking here. I want to learn more about you, and I'm sure everyone else would be excited to as well.
Yeah, thank you, Mia. Thank you for having me. And I love the green behind you. It's like so meditative as we talk today. And we're just talking about our mutual love for nature. So yeah, I'm happy to be here with you.
I love that. Yeah, thank you. I just want to share, like, if obviously I'll put all your links below if anybody's new to your work, check it out. But I just appreciate how much nature you share and weave into your astrology tune-ins and everything. It just and coming from California and Topanga, it's so special there, and it just inspires me. And your love for the animals. I
Oh,
noticed you really weave that into, because I do too. Yeah, and I
oh,
appreciate you being a
yeah.
I don't know what the word is. You care. I can tell.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Sometimes I wonder if I'm like, the marketing piece kind of gets in where it's like, oh, you don't want to share too much about the shelter crisis and go too far down that rabbit hole. But I'm like, this is so true to my heart. And I find that when you just share what's true for you, it finds the people, and I'm
Yeah,
just, yeah, I love my animal people and my nature people. It's like, I feel like we share a similar thread. So yeah.
it totally is. It's like a frequency. It's like, again, I just keep getting this ping right now. It's like kind of the gathering is starting, where are starting to find more of our people on kind of a attuned higher frequency level. And yeah, I feel like it's like really the nature piece and caring for the animals, guardianship, and just helping to like shift into the new, where it's just much more harmonious for everybody and for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's such this kind of weaves into like my story too, because I know you asked me about that and I'll go into it. But I do think that animals in particular are just so they're like angelic beings, and they hold so much for us as a species as we evolve, at this time. And we're doing so much sort of heavy lifting as far as transmuting density and moving to more of our light bodies. And animals really hold a lot of that for us. And so I feel like we should all have so much gratitude to them for how they serve in that way. And they're still just so amazing and happy and sweet at the same time.
Yeah. No, no, it's true. They're like always in alignment. They're always just holding the frequency for us. And it really does feel like they take on, and I don't want to say this in a hefty way, but it is kind of intense sometimes. Like, I feel like they're healers. I feel like they take on a lot. Yeah, that what we sort of can't carry for us. And that they're also better at releasing it, kind of
Yeah,
because they're so grounded. Um, so
and
yeah,
they don't
it's
have the social expectations that we do, because you see a dog and it's like it feels something and it just shakes it off. And like that's really
yeah.
what we should do as humans, because we are mammals as well, and we're animals and we have this animalistic nature and body. And yeah, I think that they're just so much more grounded and close to the earth. And that is, I probably ideally how we would exist during this time as well.
You're totally like, go being in the ocean, go on
Yeah.
a walk barefoot, and then go shake it out, go dance, right? It's like, it's basically what they're doing.
Yeah, it's exactly, that's what they're doing. And they know exactly what they need too, if we just kind of let them guide us as well. But
Mhm.
yeah, and it's interesting because my dog Arlo was really who guided me into this realm of, yeah, this chapter of my life, and this, yeah, my own awakening journey, really. And he I got him when I was 21, and I was just a kid and had no idea what I was doing. And I was like, this dog is huge. And he just kept growing. And he just, yeah, I mean, he completely changed my life and taught me so much, and is truly a very old soul and an angelic being, and from another realm that is, he's just, yeah. And he passed in 2023. But before, um he was having some health issues, and it was probably like 2015, early, maybe even earlier, like 2014. And that really forced me into my body, and it had me really look at why, what am I carrying that's affecting him? And it was his guidance that really led me down this path of healing and awakening. And so yeah, he's been my guide, and still is very much my guide. And so just a little thank you to him. And just how he's, yeah, what he's taught me, and how it's really forced me to surrender and to listen, and about presence and the medicine of that, and how it can really, change us and shape us.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so beautiful. What
Yeah.
kind of dog is he? What's his?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a golden doodle. So,
Oh,
and
I
a big,
love those.
yeah, he's very sweet, very cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are like angelic beings, and I feel that actually my dog Avalanche, he passed maybe around the same time. It's really interesting. Yeah. Kind of was also a big guide to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do find that especially these really powerful soul dogs, and I mean cats as well, and just any companion animals are they're such anchors for light, that they are going through a lot more physically right now. They're having to hold a lot more, and be that the vessels, and the conduits of light. And so a lot of them are choosing to leave right now.
Yeah,
This,
I
yeah.
right, I've definitely noticed that. I mean, people are too, but I've noticed so many animals. It's a huge shift right now, but it makes sense. I mean, just like people, it's like if we can't hold or process the shift so well in our bodies, it's like easier to ascend and come back into a new one. But and it feels like the animals don't, like we have so much programming around what death is, which I think isn't helpful. And I feel like that's starting to shift and going to shift more. But yeah, they don't really have that. So I feel like for them, it's more like, all right, I'm gonna pop out and I'll come back. Let me get a new body.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. And they can teach us so much about death as well. And
Mhm.
what it, yeah, like, how we, I think in so many ways the suffering on this planet is our fear of death, and our separation from that essential process, and how beautiful it can be. And it's taught me a lot over the last few years, and it's been a friend in a lot of ways. And yeah, it's a pretty amazing portal. And when you can walk through it with a pure being like your soul dog, your companion, it's very magical, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Because I still talk to mine and I feel him, and it's like and I'm curious what you feel about this and kind of what's in maybe the what the stars are showing us, but like it feels like where we're moving as the frequency shifts and becomes higher, we're actually going to be more easily able to talk to them and see them and kind of just basically be more almost like it is in the astral, where there's not really the separation, where the veil is gone and it's like, okay, I want to tune in with my father, I just talk to him, call him in, and it won't really be such a thing. And I actually have friends that are having spontaneous awakenings with these gifts right now, few out of the blue.
Very cool.
But yeah, what do you think about that? And what is
Yeah,
there anything in the energetics of the stars that's kind of like pointing to that?
absolutely. I mean, you know, with Uranus in particular moving into Gemini, it's going to
Mhm.
usher, and that's happening in July. And I'll talk a little bit more about that timeline, because it's pretty profound, and it's a big one. But that is the vehicle for the new Earth, basically. I think that Uranus shifting into Gemini is going to completely sort of break down any of our preconceived notions around communication, travel, technology. It is so, Uranus is the great disruptor. And so it comes in, it just sort of like, it's always looking to innovate and to revolutionize and to improve whatever it is that it's moving through. And so when we think about Gemini, that's communication, it's travel, that's like community. So it's just, I think that when we think about the greater shift of Pluto, which is the furthest from us, right? Pluto's the furthest planet, which means it rules these more overarching themes in our global evolution and our personal evolution as well. But it moves so slowly, it really affects like long-term shifts. And so with Pluto moving to Aquarius, the whole idea is that we're breaking down systems. You know, we did that a lot with Pluto and Capricorn, but really it was like very uncomfortable, kind of sticky. Everyone was resisting, still are, right? But not everyone, but a lot of people are resisting these
People are.
changes. Yeah, uncomfortable with it. And Aquarius is like, okay, well, we've showed you what isn't working. So let's
Mm.
find new ways. And so Pluto moving into Aquarius, which it did in November of 2024,
Mm.
going to be there until 2044. So we have this
Wow.
nearly 20-year transit that Pluto is going to be really revealing to us the light and shadow of technology, how we
Yeah.
communicate, how we relate. Aquarius is a sign of community, it's a sign of the collective. So also looking at our societal structures and what's actually working and what isn't. All of the systems, the hierarchies in particular, I think are really
Yeah.
going to be brought into focus. And we're going to see, you know, Pluto does a good job of not just, you know, showing us the light side of things and the opportunity, but also the shadow as well. So the shadow of AI and the light of AI and like the true, you know, duality of that and how we can utilize it, but also how we need to be conscious of how we're utilizing it, you know?
What do we want to choose? Yeah, that's so wow. It's like kind of mind blowing. It's like, oh my gosh, that's like all the things that are unfolding that I see right now really like are related to what you just said. It's like could almost go through each aspect and kind of like expand. I mean, just a couple things that come in off the top of my head. I mean, well, gosh, hierarchy is huge, and I keep feeling that too, just energetically. Like we're leaving the era of that. It's like, I mean, in a sense, that's what Christ consciousness or people talking about the crystalline body or that shift, it really is. It's like becoming sovereign and going inside, going to what I believe is the true message of what, Jesus shared is really that like the magic, the connection is inside of us. We're a piece of God source. So kind of like once everybody is tuned into that, it's like hierarchy doesn't even make sense. It kind of just falls away, right? And then we have the Pope, what happened, the Pope just kind of stepping down, and then the new Pope who's got all this yucky stuff around him that's being revealed. It's like all of those systems are starting to be shown for, and there's the good and the bad in them, of course, but the polarity, but like a lot of the yucky stuff is being revealed so people can again, like, yeah, go inside and be like, well, what do I want to keep from this? What's really true here? Right. So interesting. And then, oh my gosh, and
Absolutely.
I like it's like all of it. Then the travel and like you said, the community. I feel like everything is about to change. And I don't know if you or if anybody listening tuned into this, but it's kind of a whole big other conversation. But right now, like on the world stage, Trump just traveled to Saudi Arabia, and Elon, Elon 2.0. I think Elon's working for the good. So not to get into that, but essentially he just gave a speech about how it would really benefit us to utilize a different kind of traveling, and how if we utilize what are already there, these tunnel systems that we have all over the earth, essentially we can travel from point A to point B almost like a portal, and it would really be an up leveling. So it's just so interesting how these big figures on the world stage, whether you like them or not, it's like they're like, I feel like they're really there right now to expand the mind of the collective and be like, hey, you guys, this might be an option. Are you ready for this? They're out, the flying cars are being put out there. Patents for personal portal travel. I mean, there's just so much kind of like being introduced to the collective mind right now around everything you're talking about.
And you think about even all that exactly, you can feel us building towards Uranus and Gemini, because in a lot of ways, Pluto is sort of like, it shows us what we'll be working on. like the general themes, like what needs to be witnessed, integrated, even broken down, dissolved, worked through, excavated. And then Uranus is the vehicle for that transformation. So Uranus is able, it doesn't move as slowly as Pluto, so it's able to provide and clear and create space for the way that that change will occur. So Uranus and Gemini, Uranus has been in Taurus since 2018. We think about how much has happened since then. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
crazy. Even Pluto entered Capricorn in 2008. So we think about the breakdown of systems, our financial system. Like we think about 2018 with like crypto, Taurus rules, money and the material plane and safety and security. COVID happened during Uranus and Gemini. So Uranus is
Okay.
shaking up and
Mhm.
Taurus is fixed earth sign. It's like, I don't want to change, but Uranus is like, well, we have to. And this is what has to happen. We have to have the disruption and the discomfort in order to break these things down so that we can build new ones. And I think part of Uranus and Gemini now, we're at the last degrees of this Uranus and Taurus transit until July, but which can be a little uncomfortable. But I think when it shifts into Gemini, it's actually going to provide new ways.
That's really, and when is the shift exactly to Gemini?
In July.
Ju-
And then it retrogrades again. I can't remember its exact date of moving back into Taurus for the fall. And then in early 2026, it's there for the full 8 year
Okay.
transit.
I just got chills. Okay, so I want to ask you how this sort of like maybe fits into the paradigm. It feels like it does because I've been really tracking the shift yeah, with again like the crumbling systems because I feel like everything is going to fall away that's not aligned with like kind of what you're talking about and the higher frequencies, like what's not aligned with truth essentially. So I've been tracking, the financial shift, and I believe that there was a plan. It's almost like how people talk about timelines, or you could call it just tuning into different frequencies or different options. But I believe there was sort of a dystopian plan for how that breakdown of the financial system would go and to move us into something not so great. And there has also been a plan for a much higher vibrational version that you could almost look at in a way. If you look here, you might see, oh, I think that looks negative. But if you look this way, oh, that looks positive. So it's a bit of like a interesting moment. But I would say I know in my bones we are on the positive sort of timeline. And so as this kind of breaks down the old system that was always, I believe, always meant to break, because it would have served, you know, it could have served, it just serves change in general, right? And there have often been these kind of resets throughout history where you can capitalize on these big shifts, right? And create something new, whether it's negative or positive. So I feel like we're basically at that point of shifting because I feel like really the old system is essentially like already crashed behind the scenes. And so we're kind of in this almost like controlled demolition of the financial system now. And there's a lot of talk on the world stage now about financial things and a big recalibration. Trump again is like, and team is talking in the Middle East right now about creating peace there, about bringing everybody there into the new paradigm and collaborating in a different way. So it feels to me like they're basically right now soft announcing, like basically announcing what we're doing, that we're about to go on the gold standard and step into this, what I feel is a quantum financial system. And it feels like it's already sort of like it's starting to be revealed, and maybe the actual big reveal will be, I don't know, June or July. I mean, I feel like it could be this month. I don't know. Does that make sense with the astrology?
Absolutely. Yeah, makes complete sense. Very aligned with the astrology, especially because we have, so we have these three outer planets. The thing that's so significant about 2025 and 2026 in particular is that all the outer planets are shifting into air and fire.
Okay.
and
Wow.
they've been in earth and water.
Mm.
So we've had Neptune that's been in Pisces. We have since 2011, we have Uranus that's been in Uranus has been in Taurus since 2018, and we have Pluto that was in Capricorn and since 2008. So
Mhm.
it's like if you think about that, it's crunchy, it's like uncomfortable. It's like think about earth and water. It's not as mobile, not as mobilized,
Mhm.
with them moving into air and fire, that's wildfire. It's like
Right. Mhm.
rapidly, and it's fast, it's quick, it's hot. Exactly. And so I think with those, with the outer planets moving into those more mobilized elements, it's really going to create rapid, fast change. And I think we've been doing a lot of the ego work over the last, however many years to break down some of these fears. COVID was a perfect time for a lot of people to work through their fear, you know?
Oh
Um,
yeah, definitely.
yeah,
I did. Yeah.
I think that was like almost the main point of it in a way. But
Mhm.
we think about when we think about Neptune, which has left Pisces, it was in Pisces since 2011. So
Mhm.
it's moving into fire, it's moving into Aries. And that is really a sobering thing. That is
Okay.
dissolving illusion. That's moving into like confrontation, action,
Yeah.
mobilization, movement, things that have felt kind of like watery or sort of like places we've been able to dissociate or just live in illusion are no longer available.
Yeah, that makes so much sense because I feel like, and I don't want to say it's not a, I don't know how to language it, but some of us I feel like have gone through the fire like already in a sense because like you said, like for those of us who really I think took COVID as an opportunity to work through, yeah, a lot of that like deep fear or shadow aspects of ourselves. For me, I definitely felt that and it kind of inspired me. I'll say inspired, but of course it was intense going through the portal. But I really got to that place of like finding kind of what I'll call the freedom frequency inside or that kind of sovereign space where I got to the place of, okay, no matter what unfolds outside, I'm okay. I'm choosing. I'm going to choose how I show up and I'm good in a sense. So and it was like almost like a clicking into another reality or another frequency, another timeline when that happened because all of a sudden a whole new world opened up to me once I really felt free inside. And then I could see things unfolding on the outside that were basically positive, that kind of matched how I felt, that felt expansive instead of what I had been seeing before, which felt like oppressive. Um, and yeah, I just feel like this shift is so much about that kind of sovereignty piece, which I don't think means alone being alone, just kind of like going inside. And yeah, it feels like so what you're talking about with that just intensity, I feel like, yeah, it maybe it's just like a deeper invitation to those who kind of like not didn't want to go there yet, kind of, push that process off, almost like a dark night of the soul. I mean, you could call it that too. It's like maybe this is the time for like another collective, like, okay, we got to go through this birth portal. If you didn't birth then, we're going to go through it now. And yeah, we're going to shatter all these solutions.
Yes.
And and so it's interesting. So I also remind myself that when I tell someone, no, I think what's happening is unfolding is like actually amazing. We're stepping into new earth. It's so positive. And they look at me like, do you not see what's going on? It's like such that interesting, almost like split. And it's almost even like what forgetting her name right now, but she taught Dolores Cannon about the two earth splitting. We're at that interesting moment where it's like, what are we tuning into? But I feel, and I'm curious what you think, it's like once that inner shift happens, then we can see like that kind of takeoff expansion point and it looks very different. And so yeah, it's just like a deeper invitation maybe now.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think in order to, enter that frequency of freedom as you described and the sovereignty, we have to really reckon with our attachment to the old systems, you know,
Yeah.
where we actually feel comfortable under that sort of like illusion of control, like
Yeah.
where that sort of even feels safe to us to some degree, and I think that's a lot of like the dark night of the soul. That's a lot of the deep somatic work that's, needed in order to feel truly free in chaos, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a really, I always feel that when things become loud and chaotic, that there's so much potential woven into that. So
Yeah.
there's like the chaos and the opportunity grow at the same rate, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I
You know?
feel like that's even like a saying where it's like, okay, the deeper the contrast, the deep, like the wider the expansion. It's like like the free, it has to match it like a law of the universe essentially. So if we go to that really intense place, then it's gonna get way more expansive. That's why I feel like there's so many people that we've seen that have such really expansive public speakers or teachers or guides or like had the most intense, painful childhoods, but they really, yeah, they took that and transmuted it into like a massive expansion.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the deeper we go into our roots and our, sense of even just being human on this planet, like our physicality, our
Yeah.
density, our organic body, the deeper we can go into that, the higher that we can reach as well. It's like the Osho saying of like the deeper the roots, the wider the branches, or the wider the roots,
Yeah.
the wider the branches. It's like that rule, like you're saying, of that we really have to go within in order to and reckon with the truth of ourselves, and our experiences and our shadow, um, to be able to access the light that's also available.
Yeah. Yeah. And it always, it's so intense, but on the other side, it's always like, oh, why did that was so much easier than I thought it would be. But it's like the thought of it and the idea of it is always so much more intense. And it is intense, but it's so
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, I think our resistance is actually the hardest part because it's like our fear of what could happen and what will happen, and that the resistance that creates is much more painful than the experience itself oftentimes.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah. As I know you work with somatics, like is there anything you would share, just a process for those who might be like, yeah, just in that kind of anxiety point and kind of not sure what to do with their energy.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, um I'm currently studying a modality called alchemical alignment, which I feel like you would love. It's incredible. It's one of the only modalities I've ever studied that truly bridge spirit and the physical. Like its practice is like spirit embodied essentially. And so it really creates a somatic experience of spirit, which is really fascinating to me and beautiful. And so I would say my favorite tools and resources to feel more grounded, present, held, secure in these times of great change and unknown and upheaval is to connect with the earth,
Mm.
and connect with something that's really stable outside of you. And
Yeah,
that's oftentimes not a person, sometimes it is,
right.
which is beautiful if you have that, but it can be a tree, or it could be the land itself or the earth itself, but just quite literally feeling the stability of it and letting your hand just touch the tree and feeling how strong and secure it is, feeling the earth and feeling how stable it is, and letting your body create resonance with that stability,
Mhm.
and then just even like leaning on a tree and like giving all of your weight to the earth, all of your weight to the tree, because the earth, she loves to transmute. She loves to heal. That's like she digests and composts, and that's you know, that's part of her role here. So we can
Yeah.
to her and take care of her, also be a steward of her as well. But um I just love the idea that we can source security and support outside of ourselves as well, and that it could be from something as large and vast as the earth itself.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's really, yeah, at the end of the day, it's like a lot of the answers are quite simple. It's just honoring ourselves to give the time to do that without being like, well, I have too much to do today to go sit with the tree. But that's exactly what I did when I went through the portal I was talking about during COVID that was so intense for me. And a lot of things fell apart in my life at that point. So it was a lot of layers of facing shadows and learning to feel okay in myself. And I basically was like, okay, no matter what, I'm just going to go to the ocean, go be on the land for like a couple hours a day. And I just made that happen, created that space for it. And it's true. It's wild how transformative that is, just quietly, um,
Yeah,
it's so huge. Yeah.
it's so huge. And I feel so much for people who don't have access to, like wild nature in that way. But even if you have a tree outside of your house, if you live in a subdivision, or
Yeah.
even like just finding one tree and building a relationship with it, it has
Yeah.
wisdom, you
Yeah,
know.
totally. And that's what I would even talk about, especially when we started Mercado Secreto. It was because I had been living in New York. I'm such a nature person, but I lived in New York City for 7 years or so. And I did that there. I started to grow little plants in my house. I had lots of house plants. I got a bunny that was free roaming in the house. At a certain point, I was like, why am I living in the city anymore? Clearly, I'm being called to go to more with a natural lifestyle. But doing those things and just going to the park, the park, like it really helped me so much. And that's basically what I was doing. I was just finding it, yeah, in the ways that I could, what was available to me at that time. So I agree. It's always possible, even if it's like a movie or something or music that takes you to that space, because it's all frequency. It's like why, how we can tune in with, say, like the dolphins, right? When we don't need to necessarily be to the ocean. I mean, it's lovely, but we can still tune to that frequency.
Or have like even in your third eye, like just closing your eyes and just having your sacred space. That's something I always recommend too, is having a sacred space. Like if you think of
Yeah.
the back of your third eye, it's this space that's meant just for you. And that can be a tree, that can be the woods, that can be just a place in nature that feels really supportive. But we can connect with the field of the earth without, being in the woods or being in the ocean. Like we can, like exactly as you said, like we can connect and develop a relationship with nature
Mhm.
wherever we are, because we
Yeah.
are it, we're nature,
We are it exactly. And that's what's kind of been taken away. I mean, I'm just so excited about this time, this shift. It's because and again, like there's so much technology in what you shared, what was kind of coming through, but I really keep getting the vision of that. Essentially we're moving into like and I always use this phrase, we use it with Mercado Sagrado, like it's like the emergent, the ancient and the emergent. And some people will say, oh, like ancient future. And it's like, yeah, like we're taking what we remember from our soul or other experiences here. I mean, time is an illusion, but from the past, maybe what people would refer to as Mu or Lemuria, these other times when the frequency was higher here, and then getting to like marry it with the emergent like technologies. And I always think about it like this and explain, because a lot of people I feel are anxious a little bit about like the AI piece right now or this technology. And I'm not unaware that there was, again, like a dystopian plan to, I think, weaponize that against us, the AI. But I don't feel like that's happening at all. And if we are moving into this sort of higher frequency experience and approach it from like, how could this benefit humanity or the earth or me, and look at it that way as like a helper, it totally transforms it and could actually be totally in alignment with humanity and the earth, so earth aligned technology. And I think of like, I love the book Anastasia and the Ringing Cedars. I don't know if you've read it, but it's all about kind of spirit technology, and that we have these technologies within ourselves and have been kind of distracted out of them. So like telepathy or ability to talk to the trees, to receive answers, to tune in with nature, to be harmonious with the animals. So I just think of it like, okay, so that's rising again. We're going to remember those and kind of reclaim our natural gifts, which what we think of as supernatural, that are really natural. But also um then like, well, what if we utilized personal portal travel? Like, what if we were actually able to use that? It's a technology, but it's also like a spirit. It starts to merge. It's like, what is tech and what is natural, you know what I mean? And I think that the higher frequencies, it's actually all very aligned. So even something like, again, like the AI or the quantum systems, um, can just help us and be aligned. So I don't know.
I love that. I think that it's so true. And when we think about for people that are so, you know, so rooted in science, like science is God, this idea, it's like that's totally fine, except that science is pretty new and also we only use a small portion of our brain. So
Right.
there's so much technology there that we're just it's dormant at the moment, and that can
Hmm.
be turned on through different things, through food, through frequency, through consciousness expansion, right? Like all of these layers that um are yet to be discovered or defined, you know, and that, like you said, many ancient traditions and different civilizations have already accessed that.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like, yeah, that's the thing. And I think that's it's kind of evident in the field right now. If we tune in, right, even on like Instagram or TikTok, it's like so many people are talking about Tartaria or the old world. And okay, we used to have free energy. Wait, what happened? These buildings, we don't know how to build them anymore. So it's like people are starting to really realize, like, oh, this high technology existed. Like maybe we aren't at the pinnacle of civilization right now. Maybe we actually like maybe this was the dark, I believe this was the dark age. I don't believe, yeah. So and that we're moving out of that. So it's so exciting. I mean, it's just so expansive for me to feel into that. Like, oh my gosh, we get to remember and bring back this all that was lost. And I do think it was on purpose. I like to share that because sometimes I think people hear me and think maybe it's like a bit being naive that I don't see that there were these control systems, but I definitely do. And I do think that we've basically been steeped in these sort of slavery systems on purpose. And that all of our systems were weaponized against us. And so that we would forget like the magic, even
Yeah.
the magic of what you're saying.
And our full potential, our conscious, the full breadth of our consciousness and what we have access to. And I do think, like, as a species, we have to go through these waves of like integrating the shadow and acknowledging what has been and transmuting fear in order to expand. And I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Arrival.
Which one is it? I'm pretty sure I have, but
It's my favorite movie and it's so beautiful. Gosh, I can never remember any like actors or actors, so it's not helpful, but it's basically about an alien, an extraterrestrial landing on Earth, but it's done in such a beautiful poetic way that like humanizes these beings. And I feel like it's a movie every single human should watch because it's so lovely. It's so well done, and
oh,
it's just, I mean, there's such a higher intelligence built into it. But it kind of talks about how we do, to some degree, need these like drips of consciousness because it's such a fast and quick ego death, and as humans we sometimes struggle to integrate that. So I feel like
yeah.
that's why things happen in stages, is that's what we have, what we have capacity for.
Yeah, that's what yeah, because people ask me like, well, how come it's not happening yet? Or how come this part hasn't happened in the movie yet? And it's like, I agree with you. It's actually it's sort of more harmonious this way. It's more gentle. It allows people, yes, to like slowly raise their frequency. And as that happens, I believe them, yeah, we can hold more light literally in our bodies. We can hold more expand our consciousness and tune into more of our soul. So we basically can understand more and it doesn't break our brains, we don't disassociate.
That's it. That's like, so we don't enter a mass psychosis and we can actually
Yes.
be present with what's
Yeah.
yeah.
Because for some things, for people, again, it's like feels too slow. But there's a lot of people, and I talk to them that are like, it's happening so fast. Like this is really intense. So yeah, there's a whole spectrum, right?
Yeah, totally. And there are moments like I'm usually like, okay, let's get this going. I'm ready. Let's go. But there are moments where I'm like, whoa, it's like a little contraction where I'm like, I need to integrate all of this knowledge and all of this information that's coming in. And it's like, yeah, it's good to take those moments as well and to like contract a little bit and to say, okay, I need to process this. I need to integrate this, you know, and then you can open once again to, you know, wider as you
Yeah.
open, you take that action, like let yourself really be in it and feel it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And it definitely feels like a moment where we're about to have a big, I'm curious. Yeah, I would love for you to share, before we tune out, like maybe just a bit of the astrology, kind of like maybe the next month or so, or what that feels like to you. Cause it feels to me like the energy has been very intense in a way that kind of often inspires like a big change or a big shift or something that's gonna really like shake people up a little bit. I think it's all good, but like changes are intense, right?
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things I'm kind of watching over the next year is this dance between Neptune and Saturn, and they're both entering Aries basically at the same time. They both retrograde at the end of the year, but then they enter Aries together in gosh, I can't remember the exact date. I think it's March of 2026, but they enter at the 0 point of Aries together next year.
Okay.
So I kind of talked about this like in my forecast episode, but like this is the year of push and pull again. Like we've been in that for, you know, probably really since 2020, where it's like there's a lot of growth, there's a lot of pulling back, like there's a kind of contraction and expansion, right? And so
Yeah.
in a lot of ways 2026, 2027 are much more expansion
Mm,
timelines, like at a rapid pace. And so this year we're still building capacity for that. And I think in a big way, Neptune and Aries, Saturn's moving into Aries at the end of this month. So that's going to be a huge shift. And I think it's going to bring a lot of heat, a lot of fire, a lot of alchemy, basically. You know,
okay. Yeah.
we can think about it as like conflict, or we can think about it as like the alchemization of something.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. That makes so much. Wow. Yeah. That makes so much sense. Cause I feel like, again, I feel the new financial system about to be revealed. And then I think a lot of, political things and stuff that has been so divisive in our world on purpose and created by those with negative intentions. I feel like a lot is about to be exposed, and there might be a lot to process for people because we have things coming up like the Middle East and trying to creating peace. I believe we're moving into peace. I really do. And I think it's going to be mind blowing for humanity because we've never lived there before on a global level, but it's like just thinking about what needs to come up to be witnessed and to kind of be exposed to move into that for people. And it feels like some big players, like Israel and Palestine. I feel like there's going to be clarity around that. Just like some really big, big things.
Yeah. It almost has to. There has to be some sort of climax to this situation, you know, and yeah, I feel like what, like, you know, with the new that's emerging, a lot of the old is dying, and so we're seeing like the death and the, you know, the discomfort of that. And it feel, especially with this Uranus moving through the last degrees of Taurus, it's going to feel so like squeezed until July. And not, I shouldn't say squeezed, but like you're going to see old money patterns coming up. You know, you're going to like,
Yeah.
yeah, right. It's like, oh, I thought I'd integrated that. That's interesting. It's coming up in this way. If you feel that squeeze, it's like, yeah, Uranus doing its job in Taurus and really revealing to us how we relate to our own sense of security, specifically, not only financial security, but somatic security as well, because it deals with the body too. But and then yeah, and then we have this, I mean, I'm telling people like be ready to launch, you know, be ready to launch in like June and July. It's going to be fast, and it's going to be a taste of what the next few years really look like for us. So
Oh, I just got full body chills. Yeah, that's like really, I think it's really exciting. It's like, yeah, it feels like we're about to pop through this portal. And for those that are open to the invitation, it's going to be like, wow, creating, yeah, jumping into really creating the new world in so many ways.
yeah, I cannot recommend more move your body,
Mm,
spend time in nature, connect with nature, but really move your body right now, because with like the amount of light that's entering and how fast things will be, our physical systems need to know that they're on board, with this
yeah.
change.
That makes a lot of sense. I really kind of fell off from like my routines a little bit, and was feeling stagnant, and I've been really getting that directive the last couple weeks, like, okay, I gotta like be moving again a lot more and dancing and walking and going in the ocean. Yeah, just really working on, yeah, clearing the energy, moving the energy. Minerals. I love minerals. I feel like they're so helpful at this time for everyone.
Minerals, because when we're processing a lot, we're using a lot of minerals, and we just
Yeah.
that support, and also like really focusing on high vibrational foods, clean foods, things that raise your frequency, you know. Um,
Yeah.
so like fresh veggies, and I'm not going to tell anyone how to eat because everyone's so different, but whatever feels high vibrational to you.
No, whatever feels aligned for you. Just like we all kind of know, it's like I said, I get off sometimes track and I'm like, well, I'm not really taking care of myself. We all kind of know what feels good.
Yeah, we all do that. Totally.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this was so fun. Thank you so much for joining me. Is there anything else you feel like you want to share before we tune out? But that was so beautiful what you just did. What you did share. I love that.
I'm so glad. Yeah, I feel like we got to everything that I really wanted to share today. So I'm so grateful. Thank you for having me. And yeah, it was such a fun, expansive conversation, which is so nice.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I'll put all of your links below. And also, yes, I always forget to mention, but also for anybody who feels like gathering, I feel like there's also this just kind of like shift into another moment where a lot of us that have been gathering in the ethers and kind of connecting, even just literally in the astral plane or also online but haven't met yet. I feel like we're going to start gathering more in person, and I don't think this is the only opportunity, but it is an opportunity. So if anybody feels called, we're going to gather on Kauai June 5th through 8th, and it's going to be really beautiful. I'll put that link below too. And yeah, thank you again, Ellie, so much. We'll have to do this again. I really appreciate you taking the time, and I loved everything you shared. So thank you.
It was so wonderful chatting with you, and I'm here anytime.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining, you guys. Aloha.